Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 3, our third and final, live right here on the early line on this Thursday. It is Halloween. Donnie right side is juiced up. I am Ben Stevens. DRS, before we get to our points here in hour 3, Craig Mish will join us next. We'll look back on the World Series, the year that was in MLB, and an early look at the offseason and the Juan Soto sweepstakes. He is, in fact, our MLB insider. Maybe more importantly than Juan Soto, Mike Trout on his way to join the Philadelphia Phillies. Sources of sources. DRS is primed and ready to go. We'll get the prop perspective for Thursday Night Football with Tom Vecchio. We'll look at Thursday night and the two premier NBA handicappers. That's DRS and myself. Preview the slate on this Thursday. Is your daughter still going trick-or-treating, or is she kind of old and phased out of that?
No, she's 13. Here's the problem, because people say, hey, Donnie, what is your daughter going for Halloween as a costume? Yeah. It's changed like 19 times in the last month, so I honestly don't know what she's going at. I'm sure I'll be surprised when she does go as something tonight. But no, that's been big news for like the past month, and the fights with the friends on which we're wearing, why we're not wearing this. She doesn't want to wear this. I want to wear this. I want to change it over. So I'm at that stage in my fatherdom right now.
That was very uncalled for, out of bounds. In fact, our producer Joe Frieso trying to make a joke right there. DRS
it probably went out over
in your fasting. Yeah, you better hope it did not. In your fasting ways, right? Can you snack on some Halloween candy tonight? No. Can you steal a couple of chocolate? No, we're done.
Look, here's what I do. Like I shop on Amazon for everything, but I do every month get a big box of Mr. Goodbar that I stash in the freezer. I like them frozen, and I have one or two of those every day at lunch. So every day is Halloween for your boy. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Mr. Goodbar?
Yeah.
The one like that when you comes get the mini ones, discount?
Yeah, the mini ones in the bag that come from Hershey's, man, I knock out all the Mr. Goodbars in there. By far the best candy.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Dude, you would have been like the best person to trade Halloween candy with back in the day. Because in the discount, like Mr. Goodbars that you would get, and everybody would be like, I'm not eating that. Discount. Who's got a Snickers? Who's got a Reese's?
No way.
Oh,
way better than Snickers. Now Reese's, as Kevin would say, Reese's Pieces. Nobody in the right world says that, but
come on,
I enjoy a nice Reese's cup.
That's tough. That's tough there, Jameis Winston. I don't think we should be calling people out.
Nah,
I don't think he even gets that. Anyway, DRS, that was good. I enjoyed that Halloween conversation, and we'll keep. So you're not dressing up tonight. You're not wearing a costume. Any parties this weekend?
No, I would. That's not my style. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to knock on the door, it's more of an annoyance to me. But I was staying yesterday with Dubsy, and I asked you the same question. Like, do you have the heart, Ben, wherever you reside right now, if there are trick-or-treaters, to have no candy, but offer the kids tricks every time they come to your door. Could you pull that off?
I wish. That'd be pretty sick. I like that idea. Tricks or treats. I get it. Listen, I live in a New York City apartment building, a 6th-floor walk-up. I don't think anybody's making the trip up to my apartment, so no candy ordered this year. Yeah.
What Joe Lisi on? There's no way he buys candy. Does he just like give out like $20 bills? Like what? What? What do you want? What do you want? Now, hold on. What do you need? 20, 10, 20, 25? What? You want to pick tonight? What? What do you want? That's like a picture.
Definitely picks. He goes to the bodega on Saturday to get breakfast sandwiches and just hands out winners and winners. Maybe tires. I know those have been going around in his neighborhood. A lot of people just handing out tires.
A lot of wheels coming around. That'd be great.
A lot of
somebody
wheels.
knocked on the door and left Joe Lisi a wheel for Mischief Night last night. That would have been tremendous. That would have been very good.
Real good. All right, let's get to what we got to do here in hour 3. Hearing from the public Thursday night football. Official Fade the Public tracker as we get you set in terms of best bets that we have asked. 7 and 8. The public all over it on Monday night football. So, DRS, let's set the stage for this Thursday. Is the public believing in the New York Jets to finally win a football game? That remains to be seen. We hear from the people now, though, in Fade the Public. What is the best bet for Thursday night football? The New York Jets as a slight home favorite, line working in their favor, now 2.5 in favor of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Is it the Texans as the underdog? Over 42.5, under that total. Most of the public, DRS, has said, I'm done. I'm sick of Oh, wow. Now that I was not expecting.
I like it. Look at that.
Is that
they made Ben a banana.
Game? Yeah. Is that fair game to... All right.
Look at that.
I'm okay with it.
Do you like the banana?
Listen, I'm okay with it. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. It's not bad. Listen, our graphics producer, Jesse Metzger, a very creative individual. Let's not forget our Christmas pick 6. And again, I still resent the implication that Donnie was Santa and I was one of his elves and his little helpers. Right. But hey, I don't mind that. Well, now I do. I just kind of talked about it through my head. That would also insinuate like I am your food. You are my master. You use me. I don't like it. Never mind. I'm out. Take it away, DRS. Read the Fade the Public. Pull the results.
What was what would the costume character there? Ben the banana hammock? Is that what that was right there? What can we call that?
I don't know. Off track,
is it a monkey? Like, am I a monkey right there? Like, what am I right there? What is that? What is that? A character?
What do you
like
mean?
A cartoon character?
Of course, it's a cup
Oh my goodness. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm figuring there might have been like a Curious George.
I'm walking up to see it.
Or what's the other one though? Yeah. Huh.
What do you mean? What's the other one?
Now I'm trying to think. Like it reminds me like a cartoon character, the monkey guy.
Curious George.
Is it? All right. Ben the banana.
That's what I mean. Again, I don't love in the couple's costume co-hosting costume idea that Donnie's kind of the superior, right? But I look pretty good in it. Also, great Photoshop work. That looks seamless. That almost looks like we went to the Meadowlands and did our promo shoot in those costumes for this Halloween episode.
Do we have any of Kevin Walsh we can put up there? Is there anything in the back where you can have that in? There's a couple of good ones back there. Very relative, by the way, to the time of year, might I add. Halloween, right?
An important time, some said.
Yeah.
It's an important time.
I'm glad we don't lose our minds on Halloween. It's good. We love Halloween, though. I mean, Halloween's fantastic. There's going to be trick-or-treating tonight, Ben. And the biggest treat you're going to get out there, people, is this Fade the Public poll, which has 52%, Ben, going towards the Texans. What a perfect night. Now, if there's anything it's not a Photoshop, but have you ever seen the meme on the market there for Jack Nicholson? When I saw the results coming back from this Jets-Texans over-under, I did this, Ben.
What meme?
Yes, sir. Good. That means the Jets at 19%. Sign your boy up, man. This is the best poll I've seen the entire season. Jets, Jets. Absolutely.
Listen, the public is either going to be smash on and back to an even 500 because we have stopped believing in the New York Jets, or, man, what a time it was to fade the public in the belief that the public is fully in on the Texans and everybody is on the Jets. DRS, almost reminiscent of last Thursday night, if you remember, right? Minnesota was the short road favorite. How could they only be a favorite of 2.5 against a 1 or a 2-win Rams team that was struggling and injured? The public was incorrect. The Rams were the right side. We were both on L.A. I still believe the Texans are the better side because I do not have any belief in the New York Jets. Isn't that The Shining, too? Horror movie on Halloween?
We love it.
I love when you act out memes. That's good. More of hour 2 or hour 3 next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Looking back on the end of a Major League Baseball season and a World Series champion crowned last night in the Bronx, the Los Angeles Dodgers. The 8th time in franchise history the Dodgers have won a World Series crown. 2nd time in the last 5 years, if you don't count 2020. First time in a full season since 1988. But how it happened, that, of course, we will react to here with our MLB insider and the host of Newswire. Starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time, that is Craig Mish. Craig, happy Halloween to you. Thanks for joining us here on the Early Line.
Yeah, always sort of a sad time when the baseball season comes to an end. After the first hour of that game last night, I fully believed we would be previewing Game 6 of the World Series. But indeed, it all ended last night.
As did we, Craig, as did we. For the final time in the World Series, and at least throughout the MLB season, we touch them all. Hey, Garrett Cole, this is what first base looks like. It's daily basis.
Craig!
There it is. Got to finish with
Yeah.
Joe Lisi.
Yep.
No doubt about it. I got to say, sorry, Garrett Cole, but that just came to the top. That's pretty good on the fly, if I do say so
You know what?
myself.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that you mentioned that about 10 minutes ago. My son plays on a travel team in South Florida, and one of the dads posted a picture of Cole not getting to first base and said, my son would have been there on that play. You know, how funny is that?
No doubt. No doubt. A big day for fathers out there to yell at the TV and teach fundamentals to their young little leaguers. We've been talking a lot of Little League baseball on this show in recapping the World Series. All right, Craig, let's recap what happened, of course, in the 5th inning of game number 5. That will tell the tale and, of course, be how history remembers the conclusion of the 2024 World Series. Of all of the defensive miscues that the Yankees had in the 5th, which do you think was the worst, and why did the Yankees end up ultimately falling short in game number 5?
I mean, look, the bat was off the ball was off the end of Mookie Betts' bat. So, 9 times out of 10, that play is made. 19 out of 20 times, the ball is caught in the outfield when the ball is hit to Aaron Judge. So maybe that was more of a certainty. And there were other plays along the line. But, I think we're all living in the moment here with what happened yesterday and maybe what happened in game 1, would have, could have, should have. And I think everybody, guys, has forgotten how fortunate the Yankees were to roll through Cleveland like they did. I mean, honestly, they were very lucky that thing didn't go 6 games or 7 games. I'm here to tell you the Yankees overachieved this season. They did a great job getting to where they did. They definitely could have won game 1. They could have won last night. They could have lost several games against Cleveland in the series before. I would say that those two teams, Cleveland and New York, were dead even going into that series. So, I mean, honestly, I understand how Yankee fans could be upset today, but I would hold my head high. You won the American League. You probably weren't the best team in the American League, really, in the end. Dodgers were the best team in baseball.
The Yankees out here. And by the way, just keep on sticking with, you take a look at Garrett Cole on the mound. I mean, the guy could have been the MVP of the World Series, and instead his team lost both of those games. He took the mound. Crazy statistics all the way through, which also includes Freddie Freeman as the World Series MVP. You want to talk about Mr. Clutch in October? He absolutely was. 300 average, 4 home runs, 12 RBI. He was sensational, coming in injured, battling his way through it, Craig. His World Series, absolutely epic.
Yeah, and what's really, when you think about it, it's fascinating that the stamp is now in on Cooperstown for Freddie Freeman. Like, there's no question. This guy has to do nothing the rest of his career. Is the World Series MVP, World Series champion a couple of different times now. But he's not the only one. Like, Mookie Betts, I think, stamped his ticket too. Like, he's got 3 World Series championships, and Kershaw's a Hall of Famer. So the Dodgers guys have 3 active Hall of Famers playing on the same team, which is, like, in this day and age, so rare. And I didn't even mention Shohei Ohtani. So, I mean, it is definitely a super team. They went out, they signed all the right players. They ended up getting Ohtani in that wild offseason last year. And I would think they're not done. I would guess that they keep building on this. It seems like they have unlimited funds. And who knows, maybe they'll end up with a guy from the Yankees. Who knows?
Ooh, we will talk Juan Soto in just a moment. But, Craig, after that offseason of acquisitions, the Dodgers were a super short favorite entering a long MLB season in 2024 to win a World Series. They were the favorites entering the postseason, but struggled against the Padres and were no longer the favorites throughout that opening round of the NLDS. But ultimately, this was what was expected for Los Angeles this year, to be the best team in baseball, and at the end of the day, the Dodgers were. How did they rise to the occasion and match that expectation in your estimation?
Well, look, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. If Freddie Freeman wasn't the MVP, Walker Buehler was a huge surprise in the postseason for the Dodgers. I mean, this guy, was on the verge of not even knowing where he was going to be, I think, next season. I mean, he didn't have a good regular season. He's been hurt for the last couple of years. So really epic final there. Also give credit to Blake Trinan. He came through in some really big moments for them as well. look, I mean, Ben, what's left to say? I mean, the Dodgers, they're a juggernaut at this point. I mean, the other owners may complain, but I don't think Major League Baseball would have an issue if the Dodgers kept going back out to free agency or making trades and signing some players. I mean, they're going to be in it from beginning to end, I think, for the next several years. Now, whether they win the World Series still remains to be seen, but it's also a really good reminder 5 months from now, when the Dodgers win total, fellas, is at 107 going into next year, to bet the under. Because the regular season for that team is not going to matter. The postseason will. Stay away from those high win totals. We always live in these World Series moments and think, oh, they're the best team. They're going to win 110 games. Guys, it just doesn't happen like that in baseball. Teams go through slumps. Dodgers did this season too.
Craig, quickly here. Juan Soto, does he stay in New York City? We'll just keep it simple there. Mets or Yankees?
I don't know the answer to that, but I think that if the Yankees do sign him, it's going to be the second biggest contract in history. I mean, based on Soto's comments yesterday,
Craig
it seems like
news.
Open for business.
Come on, Craig. That sounds like you already know where he's going and how much you'd agreed to now. Don't hold out on us. Come on.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Sources of sources. Donnie's ready for the winter, so is Craig. More on the early line next.
Has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Around the association, your two premier NBA handicappers back together. DRS, this is really the first time we're going to be breaking down basketball games. And again, when you come to the early line, when you come to the SportsGrid, when you think NBA first and foremost, you think the two guys that can do it all. It's myself, it's Donnie Rightside. So we're happy here on this Thursday to be breaking down some basketball. What's up with the Memphis Grizzlies? I bet the over of their win total, 46.5, now healthy. The acquisition of Zach Edey in the NBA draft. Felt like this team with a healthy Ja Morant, they'd be back. Last night, Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart both injured and out. Injury woes, a huge story of last season. They've lost 2 consecutive games, Donnie, to the Bulls, who actually are above 500 for the first time in nearly 2 years. And last night, the Grizz, as a 12-point favorite, lose by 13 to the Nets. Memphis is 2-3 straight up this year, just 1-4 against the spread. Now catching 6.5 in the grind city against Milwaukee tonight.
Yeah, take a look at Milwaukee on the season and say, look at that, they're 1-3. Well, apparently Doc Rivers says, well, we can't beat anybody unless multiple starters are down from said team, which means tonight when you take on the Grizzlies and opening night when they took on the Philadelphia 76ers without Paul George and also Joel Embiid. So I understand why they're the favorite tonight. It'll be interesting to see how they rise up. You said Memphis on a back-to-back. The Bucks come into town knowing they got to get their season started sooner than later. I can see why we have that -6 up there, and for good reason. This should be a Bucks double-digit win, to be honest, Ben.
And if the Grizz are shorthanded, again, with the injuries to Bane and Smart, Milwaukee takes advantage. The only win of the year for the Bucks as that favorite in Philadelphia on opening night, second night of the year when the Sixers did not have Joel Embiid or Paul George. Maybe some points tonight. Memphis over in 4 of 5. All Lone Star State showdown between the Rockets and the Mavericks in Dallas. Mavs 6.5-point favorite at home. Total 225.5 DRS. What do you like?
Yeah, probably stick with the home team here. Battle of Texas, Doncic, Irving, and Thompson. Still waiting for Clay to find his groove there. You know, he doesn't get enough shots for me at this point right now, but that happens when you come over. If you can get the best out of Clay Thompson, we're not talking about, shifting back the clock 7 or 8 years back with Golden State. But if you're telling me right now in the NBA, which everybody's shooting 3-point shots left and right, Clay should be taking a minimum of 10 3-point shots per game on that team. So, Don, that's crazy. No, it's not. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving can set you up perfectly, and there's so many shots to go around now. Give me Clay Thompson on the over 3-point props and also the Dallas Mavericks to come away with this victory. I like this Mavs team.
Yeah, good start to this year for Clay. 4 or more made triples in his first 3 games in a Mavs uniform, 18+ in those opening 3. Not great in the Western Conference Finals rematch against Minnesota on Tuesday, despite a Mavericks win, winning 121-14. Clay Thompson only 2 made buckets, both from deep, just 7 points. The Mavs, 3-1 this year. The Rockets, 2-2 this year. They have covered in both of their victories. Often an underdog a year ago, Houston. They have not been an underdog much this season. 4 games in the NBA tonight. The Jazz, 2-point home favorite against the Spurs. That's an ugly one, 221.5. A lot of defense for this San Antonio team. Might we see Victor Wembanyama on a back-to-back bounce back after only 6 points last night? Now we head out to L.A., Intuit Dome. Clippers and the Suns. Phoenix, 4.5-point road favorite in Los Angeles. Total 221. Second game already for Phoenix in the new Intuit Dome this year in front of the wall of Clipper faithful.
Yeah, it says they're 0-2 at home right now. So this game number 3, I'm going to assume at this point. So maybe it's not a great home court advantage. Yeah. Maybe it's not a great advantage for them. By the way, also, I believe on a back-to-back, I hit James Harden yesterday over his 3-point shot total, so I'm living with Harden over this. I'll take another Harden 3-point shot total, but the Clippers getting beat again tonight. Stop it. Team stinks.
I mean, when you look at Phoenix, of course, they did win outright in their opener, did not cover as a road favorite against the Clippers. That game went to OT. LA bounced back from that loss, knocking off the Nuggets and the Dubs, but both on the road, to your point, Donnie. When a team is 0-2 and they're playing another home game, it would be their third.
You said it was their second home game.
The Clippers.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? I had to correct you on that one. How about that?
What do you mean?
You said they're playing their second home game, the Clippers.
No, the second time Phoenix has been in the Intuit Dome.
Oh, come on.
No, I was saying the second time the Suns have been in the Intuit Dome, which they started off the year there. I'm correct.
Oh, I thought you said Clippers. Gotcha. All right.
No, the Suns, by the way, Clips under in 3 straight. To Donnie's point, they have not won a home game in front of the wall. This is their third. They did cover in the opener against the Suns. They lost outright as an 8-point favorite against Portland last night. All right, we'll give you the prop perspective on this Thursday. Tom Vecchio is here next.
has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump, his release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season, but if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The prop perspective on this Thursday with SportsGrid's Tom Vecchio live right here on the early line. The jack of all trades to get you set for Thursday night football. To look back on the ending of an MLB season as the home run prop king will not be back out until at least March. Vecchio, with everything, though, we are glad to have you here on this Thursday. Appreciate the time.
Of course. Thanks for having me. We have a huge Thursday night game tonight. Really interesting for, a variety of different reasons, how we're breaking things down. The Texans dealing with some injuries, whatever it might be. Today's Halloween. Normally, I like to say I'm in the mix, but today I guess it's all about Twix.
Oh, another one. Guys dropping ball.
Left or right Twix? Yeah, left or right?
Oh,
they're both good.
Good question.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Vecchio, two-part questions for you. One being about candy choices, two about the World Series. First off, Donnie's favorite candy is Mr. Goodbar. How weird is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit random. Donnie's super old though, so you could give him a little bit of leeway on that. But Reese's should be up there. From the sweeter side of things, I think Sour Patch Kid is certainly up there. But the World Series last night, obviously, as a Yankees fan, wasn't a great ending. Complete collapse for a variety of different reasons. Aaron Judge apparently doesn't know how to catch a fly ball. A lot of that is, I'm not going to say solely on him, but the errors were bad. Ultimately, Cole pitched well. I don't want to put it on him. Luke Weaver came in and was asked to do an impossible job and ultimately did his job. He gave up his one run, but you have to expect at least someone's going to give up one run. It was just a collapse for a variety of different reasons.
DRS, I was going to give you the follow-up there to bounce back to the old comment.
I do have follow-ups on this, too. You think of me old, I eat Mr. Goodbar from the generation that eats Tide Pods out here. Stop the magic. Come on now. You know what I mean? Trick or treat, here's your Tide Pod. Tastes really good. Yep.
Good. Listen, I don't think it has anything to do with your age. I think Mr. Goodbar in general is a little bit strange. Vecchio, you mentioned it there, as we'll ask you one more question about the World Series, then Donnie will take us to Thursday night football between the Jets and the Texans. As a Yankees fan, would love your perspective. First American League pennant in 15 years since 2009. Of course, first World Series appearance in the last decade and a half as well. But you lose in 5. You were down 0-3. You had the 5-0 lead into the 5th with the disastrous defensive inning in that 5th. How will you remember this season for the Yankees as a pinstripes backer?
That's a good question. I think it's highs of highs with Judge, especially after a super slow start to the season, and then lows of lows to end the season the way it did. His struggles in the postseason, good performances out of Cole and Rodon, which is what you want, your frontline starters. But ultimately, where does this leave the team moving forward? Where does it leave them going after Juan Soto? Obviously in free agency, how do they remedy some of the things? How do they pick up another pitcher to have some bolster? Do we see Luis Gil continue to expand his role and get better? Same with Clark Schmidt. Like, they have some very clear things I think they need to fix. And I think top of the list should be trying to re-sign Juan Soto with a blank check for $600 million or whatever.
How about next year, Tom? We take a look at the World Series odds at the FanDuel Sportsbook. No surprise, the Dodgers the favorite at a 4-1 price. The Yankees behind them at plus 750, followed by the Braves, Phillies, and Orioles. Rightfully so, the Dodgers should once again be the favorites here for 2025.
Yeah, I mean, they built this super team for a reason. Like, they have Ohtani and Yamamoto locked up for whatever it is, next 7 to 10 years. They're only going to continue to make acquisitions. Glass now hopefully will be at full health next year. Walker Buehler hopefully has a bounce back year. We got to remember they signed Will Smith to a 10-year deal in March or February, whatever it was. They have their entire team locked up. They'll get Edman re-signed. I think the answer on that list might be the Mets. There's like a lot of talk that they may have a chance to sign Juan Soto, and if they're at 12-1 right now and they do get Juan Soto, that number's not going to stay at 12-1.
Yeah.
The Dodgers a very short favorite once again entering 2025, but that's a far way away. The New York Jets have not exactly provided the optimism that fans in this area were hoping for this year. And if they're still kind of licking their wounds, Vecchio, after seeing the Yankees fall last night, can Aaron Rodgers deliver when we expect him to? That is the question kicking off week number 9 on this Thursday in MetLife. The Jets now a 2.5-point home favorite against the Houston Texans. Vecchio, we ask you about the numbers often. 2.5-point spread in favor of New York at home. Short week Thursday night football. 42.5 is the over-under. But it's not just the numbers. I guess it's kind of the belief in this game. If you believe the Jets will finally win a game when they are expected, you look at New York. If you don't believe that, you kind of think Houston is the right side. So how do you see this Thursday night playing out?
Really tough. This game is super interesting for a variety of reasons. Like I said at the top, the Texans, they're dealing with a ton of injuries. Obviously, the announcement that Diggs is done for the year. Nico Collins is still out for a few more weeks. And ultimately, what does their offense look like? And if they're forced into a passing game script, we've seen their offensive line be terrible, right? They cannot protect C.J. Stroud. And that's actually one of the things that the Jets are good at, which is bringing pressure. So if there's any time for the Jets to actually have some success, it would be tonight on a short week versus a team that's clearly not healthy on injury. And like the thing that the Jets do well is the thing exactly that the Texans struggle with. So this should be the game for the Jets to right the ship after firing the head coach and trading for Devontae Adams, and they just haven't been able to get on the right foot. Like, this is the time for them to finally succeed. So if you believe in the Jets, I think they win this game, and they absolutely do cover. But if you don't have any belief, then I think the Texans are live, and I think it would be a big Joe Mixon game ultimately.
Yeah, we'll see if Mixon can hold up anytime touchdown market. He's certainly the favorite there. But let's take a look at the quarterbacks tonight. Aaron Rodgers versus C.J. Stroud. One has a better complement of weapons at the wide receiver position, but we'll see how that plays out. 233.5 for Aaron Rodgers tonight. His passing props, C.J. Stroud, 222.5. Both, again, touchdown props over 1.5, but juiced differently. Aaron Rodgers at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now, Tom, plus 102. C.J. Stroud, plus 172. How do we look at the quarterback props tonight?
The quarterback props, and I think you would want to side with Rodgers. Again, they're at home. They have a chance to win this game. Like, he should be the one leading it. Like, I think Breece Hall could have a fine game tonight, get Braylon Allen involved. But, like, they have Rodgers, and they have these passing options for a reason. So that's what they should be trying to flex on offense. And ultimately, let's say you are interested in C.J. Stroud. You do think he has a good game. You probably shouldn't be looking to over 1.5 passing touchdowns. You should probably be trying to take a shot on nailing one of those touchdown receiving options, because Joe Mixon at minus 130, minus 140, whatever he is, I don't want to be going there. But if we look at the list and you see Tank Dell at 2-1, Dalton Schultz, Xavier Hutchinson, Robert Woods is at 6.5-1, and he may have to play a role tonight. So instead of going to plus 170, you could take a shot on someone that's plus 400 for a touchdown tonight.
Love that look, Vecchio. I think a lot of the guys after Stephon Diggs and, of course, Nico Collins, who has missed the last few games, are going to step up in a big way tonight. So let's talk about those pass catchers here and the guys that you would expect, if you believe in Houston, to fill the void of Diggs and Collins. How do you see it for the Houston Texans? Who is that guy you are targeting most that might get all the targets from C.J. Stroud?
Yeah, that's going to be Dalton Schultz tonight. I like him specifically over 40.5 receiving yards. I also like him at 50-plus receiving yards at plus 144. His touchdown is sitting at plus 400. He has at least 5 targets in 5 of the last 6 weeks. We look back over the Jets' recent game log, and we're seeing Hunter Henry going 5 for 45, Pat Freiermuth going 2 for 51, Dalton Kincaid going 6 for 51. And Dalton Schultz is really 1A and 1B when it comes to Tank Dell, when it comes to total target share now with Collins and Diggs on the sideline. So, yeah, you could take a longer shot with John Mechie, potentially, but I think Schultz and Tank Dell are probably the 2 safest options.
And did I see at the top of that board a certain friend of Aaron Rodgers finding Pater tonight as well? Boom. In his 3rd game in a New York Jets uniform? Devontae Adams will score a touchdown for the first time, Vecchio?
I mean, it's got to happen, right? They brought him in for a reason. He's got 15 targets over the first 2 games. Like, this is the spot that they need to get going. Like, we know what Garrett Wilson can do. We shouldn't be seeing touchdowns to Lazard. I'm not even sure if Lazard's going to be playing tonight. They got Adams for freedom, right? Like, get him the ball, get him a touchdown. At least get the fan base on the right side of things.
Yeah. SportsGrid's Tom Vecchio. There you see his top props for Thursday. He'll be back on the pregame show ahead of Thursday Night Football and the recap as well. Vecchio, we appreciate the time. We'll break down Thursday Night Football next.
Has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Thursday Night Football on this Halloween at MetLife. Will it be trick or treat for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets? The Jets now a 2.5-point home favorite against the Houston Texans. Total at 42.5. Donnie, I actually think this is a rather simple handicap, right? Do you believe the Jets can finally win a game when we expect them to, or are the odds makers continuously incorrect and the Texans are just a better team? Because New York has actively found ways to lose, riding a 5-game win streak. If you believe in the Jets, you lay the 2.5, they win by a field goal, potentially even more than that. If you are done buying in, betting, and believing on Aaron Rodgers and Gang Green, you take C.J. Stroud and the Texans outright on the money line because he has been a great underdog when he has entered the National Football League since the start of last year. It's just, how do you believe? So will it be spooky tonight in New York, or will the Jets finally deliver on what they have been promising fans for the last 18 months?
I think the Jets will deliver tonight, and also a case in point of being home on Thursday night as a major advantage, and you're not getting the best version of the Texas team. That goes into it. You bring me Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell. We're not looking towards the Jets. That looked like the favorite side would actually be the Texans, and rightfully so. Now, granted, can they still win the game, the Texans? Yes. They have a very good defensive line. They got a couple really good cornerbacks here that can sort of slow things down. But the interesting part for the Jets is sometimes you look at a team, it just didn't go their way, Ben. They're just so injured. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. Your offensive line is healthy. Your tight end is healthy. Your top wideouts are healthy. Your top running backs are healthy. You get the point here? Like, nothing has made sense why the Jets continue to slip other than they're just not a good football team and come up in clutch moments. Now, granted, I can go down game by game. Zuerlein make a couple kicks. This team looks like they're on their way to the Super Bowl. He didn't. The record is what it says it is. It's just a circumstantial bet where theoretically for the Jets, your season isn't officially over. They're heading into this game saying, now's the time to jumpstart the season. Should they have done it last week against the New England Patriots? Absolutely. And they lost that football game. No excuses against Jacoby Brissett when C.J. Stroud is so much better than Jacoby Brissett. And even without weapons at wide receiver, they're probably still better at wide receiver than New England Patriots were last week. So nothing has made sense for the Jets. But for me tonight, it's a circumstantial play. I like the spot they're in. They should be able to win this game. They are favored for a reason, and they get the job done.
They are favored for a reason. You are not incorrect, but they have been favored 5 times this year after only being booked as a favorite 9 times in the first 3 years of the Robert Saleh tenure. Of course, he is no longer the head coach. It's the interim head man in Jeff Ulbrich. They are both 2-3 straight up and against the number when booked as a favorite. They started off 2-1. They won 2 consecutive games after losing to San Francisco on that opening Monday night of the year. They covered against the Titans. They covered on that short week Thursday night football game against the Patriots. They were at home, of course. They won 24-3, easily covering as a 6.5-point favorite. But DRS, I have said this often. I was looking at New York this year. How often with a healthy Aaron Rodgers would the Jets be booked as a dog? 3 times in 8 games. In these 5 losses in a row, the Jets have failed to cover a number 3 times as a favorite. As more than a touchdown favorite at home against the Broncos. Bo Nix threw for 60 yards. They found a way to lose that football game. They were a touchdown favorite last week in New England. Did not commit a turnover, scored more than 20 points, held the Patriots to 250 yards of total offense or less, and still found a way to win that football game. They were a slight road favorite with the addition of Davante Adams in the Steel City on a Sunday night in a huge marquee matchup a couple of weeks ago. Russell Wilson was making his debut for Pittsburgh. They got planked in the second half. They lost 37-15. I'm done believing in the New York Jets. I bet the Texans early this week outright on the money line and that under of 42.5. DRS, you are not done believing in the Jets just yet. So who are going to be those players that you need to see perform in the most impactful way tonight to lead New York to a victory?
Yeah, just to keep it simple, too. I already bet it on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Got a 30% profit boost tonight. I used it. Keep it. This is it. Look, I always like to keep it simple, stupid in these betting environments where you're getting the boost here, which we love from the FanDuel Sportsbook. Davante Adams to get 25 yards. Garrett Wilson to get 25 yards. Aaron Rodgers to throw 1 touchdown pass, and Dalton Schultz on the opposite team, which is the Texans, playing tight end, just to get 25 yards, boosted to plus 143. So just to keep it simple for me, I expect bigger things out of Davante Adams than 25 yards. That should be a low benchmark. Bigger things out of Garrett Wilson, 25 yards, and more touchdown passes than 1 for Aaron Rodgers. So if we're being honest, I wanted to include all of those in a lower amount parlay to boost it up, but that's where I'm going. The passing game needs to get untracked. Well, Donnie, last week you saw Garrett Wilson over 100. I get that. You know what I need to see tonight? 5-step drop, play action pass, Aaron Rodgers launching bombs downfield to open receivers. Get the juices flowing like back you were in the Green Bay days where Davante Adams was uncoverable down the field. That's what I need to see tonight. 1, a victory, but number 2, why did you get Davante? Not for 3 catches and 30 yards, for 6 catches for 116 and a touchdown. How about that?
Targeted 15 times in his 2 games as a New York Jet. Only 7 grabs. Has not found the end zone yet. His regular receiving yards prop is 55 and a hook. He has been under in both games. Who is going to step up for C.J. Stroud? Only 86 yards, a career low 2 weeks ago in Green Bay. The Texans still covered that game as a field goal underdog in Lambeau. Bounced back in a big way last week, 285 yards against the Colts. But Stephon Diggs was the leading receiver for Houston. He's out for the remainder of this year. No Nico Collins. Will it be Dalton Schultz, the tight end? He did go over his number tonight last week with 54 yards. Will it be Tank Dell? Might it be Xavier Hutchinson? A couple of guys I think you can find some money in. Joe Mixon, DRS, has been really big through the air. I'm going to bet the over of his 24.5 receiving yards prop tonight. You could argue Breece Hall has been the same. Both of these running backs have been huge in terms of their scrimmage yardage output this year.
Sometimes I do like to take a look at a game and say, if you like the Texans, and I don't think they're going to win tonight, but there's no way the Texans win without a big performance out of Joe Mixon. You tell me right now Mixon got 16 carries for 38 yards, 3 catches for 25 yards. They get beat. But you can have a night where Mixon goes for 80-plus yards on the ground and 40-plus yards in the air, and they still lose. If you like the Texans tonight, take Mixon. He's the key. If he doesn't perform, neither are the Texans. But again, he can perform, and they can still lose this football game.
Good point, DRS. Really good way of handicapping this one. We'll see what happens. Will we finally have some belief to believe in the New York Jets? Or will the Texans just keep winning football games 7-2 where they win tonight? Donnie, have fun on the money line. Happy Halloween. Many Mr. Goodbars coming your way. College basketball talk next.
Has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he can shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It might feel crazy to say, but November is tomorrow. And then on Monday, the start of the 2024-25 college basketball season tips off. We've got a full day slate in both men's and women's basketball on Monday. And what a year it is going to be. Some new changes at the top of the AP Top 25 in the preseason. Kansas, though, nothing has changed. They are ranked number 1 entering the year for a second consecutive. Last year did not live up to that preseason billing. They struggled in Big 12 play. They got bounced in the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament. The 2-time reigning national champs, UConn, is back. They're ranked 3rd. They're looking for their 3rd consecutive national championship, something that has not been done since the John Wooden era of the early 70s at UCLA. Of course, a lot changes in college basketball on the women's side as well. Caitlin Clark, as you well know, now plays in the WNBA, but plenty of superstars willing to fit into her shoes. And South Carolina returns a ton of talent looking for another national championship. Let's talk individual awards. The Wooden Award watch list coming out this week. Of course, that is the National Player of the Year in both men's and women's college hoops. We had seen something that we hadn't in a long time last year. Zach Edey of Purdue winning a 2nd consecutive Wooden Award, becoming the first player to win back-to-back Wooden Awards and National Player of the Year acclaim since Ralph Sampson did so for Virginia in the early 1980s. But of course, he is gone. I do really want to make this point. Let's show the odds. Let's talk about a few of these guys, no doubt, on the men's side. But, of course, mention something that is glaring. Hunter Dickinson of Kansas. Yep, he's back for another year of college football, college basketball, R.J. Davis back for North Carolina as well at the guard position. Mark Sears, a veteran, returns for Alabama. The Crimson Tide ranks 2nd, the highest they have been ranked in a preseason AP Top 25 in a very long time. Those are some familiar names and faces that are back and deserving of short numbers. One name that is a new entrance to college basketball who is not listed on our lovely sponsor, the FanDuel Sportsbook, that is Cooper Flagg. He is going to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. There is a great chance he is going to win the Wooden Award for an outstanding Duke freshman class and John Shire in the Blue Devils this season. He is only 17 years old. And oftentimes, based on gambling restrictions and the legislation behind it, 17-year-olds, or amateurs, technically everybody in college hoops is an amateur still, despite getting paid NIL money. But because Cooper Flagg is not of legal age, he is not listed. We see it happen in college football. Ryan Williams, the outstanding freshman receiver for the Crimson Tide, is only 17. His props are not listed, but they are on other sports books. So it should be noted that Cooper Flagg is the favorite to win the Wooden Award in many other sports books around the country. So just know that. Our producer, Joe Frizo, digging this up, and it's actually very, very important and perhaps impactful betting information. Cooper Flagg turns 18 on December 21st, about a month and a half into this college basketball season. Will his price, whatever it looks like, shorter than what it might be on other sports books right now, longer if Duke struggles to start this year with a younger class, will his price then be listed once he turns 18? Again, I don't know. We can reach out to our lovely sponsors, the FanDuel Sportsbook, for some of those clarifying questions. Just thought it was worth noting. Let's go to the women's side of things. Again, Caitlin Clark no longer there, but plenty of talented players that will take over the mantle of superstardom this year, including Paige Beckers, who is back for UConn. Last year, fully healthy, led UConn to that Final Four game against Caitlin Clark. She enters the year as the favorite to win the Wooden Award at plus 125, but it could be a battle of those two best prices that you see because Juju Watkins made history last year as a freshman for USC. Plus 155 for Watkins. Historic performances, only expected to be better this year for Southern Cal and the Trojans, entering a new league in the Big Ten. If I had to bet one of those two prices, I actually think I might look at Juju ahead of the bucket getter herself in Paige Beckers. Hannah Hidalgo, that third shortest number at plus 850. She, of course, is the outstanding point guard for Notre Dame. Just to try to show it here if we can, in terms of the women's basketball championship odds, yep, just checking. South Carolina is the favorite entering this year at plus 155. They return a lot of people from last year's national title squad, including the shortest number you saw there individually, Malaysia Fulwiley. Plenty of college basketball on the horizon, but a Football Friday tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, here on SportsGrid.